The modern Japanese writing system is a combination of three character types: logographic kanji, which are adopted Chinese characters, syllabic kana, and the Latin script Alphabet Rōmaji. Kana itself consists of a pair of syllabaries: hiragana, used primarily for native and naturalized Japanese words and grammatical elements, and katakana, used primarily for foreign words and names, loanwords, onomatopoeia, scientific names, and sometimes for emphasis. Almost all Japanese sentences contain a mixture of kanji and kana. Because of this mixture of scripts, in addition to a large inventory of kanji characters, the Japanese writing system is often considered to be the most complicated in use anywhere in the world. Although rare, there are some words that use all three scripts in the same word. An example of this is the term, which uses a hiragana, a katakana, and a kanji character respectively. It is said that if all three characters are put in the same kanji square, they all combine to create the kanji. Another example is which means a razor, uses a kanji, a hiragana, and two katakana characters respectively. Texts without kanji are rare, in which most are either children's books, since children tend to know few kanji at an early age, and early electronics such as computers, phones, and video games, which could not display complex graphemes like kanji due to both graphical and technological limitations. Several thousand kanji characters are in regular use. Each has an intrinsic meaning, and most have more than one pronunciation, the choice of which depends on context. Japanese primary and secondary school students are required to learn 2,136 Joyo kanji as of 2010. The total number of kanji is well over 50,000, an amount almost no native speakers know, if there are any that do. In modern Japanese, the hiragana and katakana syllabaries each contain 46 basic characters, or 71 including diacritics, with one or two minor exceptions. Each different sound in the Japanese language corresponds to one character in each syllabary. Unlike kanji, these characters intrinsically represent sounds only, they convey meaning only as part of words. Hiragana and katakana characters also originally derived from Chinese characters, but have been simplified and modified to such an extent that their origins are no longer obvious. The principle of the syllabic script itself is thought to have been borrowed from the Indian Sanskritic Siddham script. To a lesser extent, modern written Japanese also uses acronyms from the Latin alphabet, for example in terms such as BCAD, A, M, P, M, F, B, I, and CD. Romanized Japanese, called Rōmaji, is most frequently used by foreign students of Japanese who have not yet mastered kana, and by native speakers for computer input. Use of scripts. Kanji are used to write most content words of native Japanese or Chinese origin, including most nouns, such as and, the stems of most verbs and adjectives, such as in and in, the stems of many adverbs, such as in and is in, most Japanese personal names and place names, such as and, dot. Some Japanese words are written with different kanji depending on the specific usage of the word. For instance, the word naazu is written when it refers to curing a person, and when it refers to fixing an object. Most kanji have more than one possible pronunciation, and some common kanji have many. Unusual and non-standard readings may be glossed using hiragana. Kanji compounds are sometimes given arbitrary readings for stylistic purposes. For example, in Natsumi Soseki's short story The Fifth Night, the author uses for sunagit the gerundive te form of the verb sunagaru, which would usually be written as or. The word meaning connection is normally pronounced setsuzuka. There are even kanji terms that have pronunciations that correspond with neither the onyomi or the kunyomi of the individual kanji within the term. such as and. Hiragana are used to write the following. Okurigana, inflectional endings for adjectives and verbs, such as in and in, and respectively in the past tense inflections and. Various function words, including most grammatical particles, or postpositions, small, usually common words that, for example, mark sentence topics, subjects and objects have a purpose similar to English prepositions such as in, to, from, by, and for. Miscellaneous other words of various grammatical types that lack a kanji rendition, or whose kanji is obscure, difficult to typeset, or considered too difficult to understand. Furigana, phonetic renderings of kanji placed above or beside the kanji character. Furigana may aid children and non-native speakers to clarify non-standard, rare, or ambiguous readings, especially for words that use kanji not part of the Joyo kanji list. There is also some flexibility for words with more common kanji renditions to be instead written in hiragana, depending on the individual author's preference. Some words are colloquially written in hiragana and writing them in kanji might give them a more formal tone, while hiragana may impart a softer, more emotional feeling. For example, the Japanese word kawaii, the Japanese equivalent of cute, can be written entirely in hiragana as in, or as the kanji term. Some lexical items that are normally written using kanji have become grammaticalized in certain contexts, where they are instead written in hiragana. For example, the root of the verb is normally written with the kanji. However, when used as a suffix meaning try out, the whole verb is typically written in hiragana as in. Katakana are used to write the following transliteration of foreign words and names, such as and. See also transcription into Japanese. Commonly used names of animals and plants, such as and certain other technical and scientific terms, such as mineral names. Occasionally, the names of miscellaneous other objects whose kanji are rare, such as onomatopoeia, such as, and other sound symbolism. Emphasis, much like italicization in European languages. Katakana can also be used to impart the idea that words are spoken in a foreign or otherwise unusual accent. For example, the speech of a robot. Rōmaji, the Latin alphabet, is used to write the following Latin alphabet acronyms and initialisms, such as NATO, UFO, Japanese personal names, corporate brands, and other words intended for international use. Foreign names, words, and phrases, often in scholarly contexts. Foreign words deliberately rendered to impart a foreign flavor, for instance, in commercial contexts. Other Japanized words derived or originated from foreign languages, such as j-t-b. Arabic numerals. Arabic numerals are commonly used to write numbers in horizontal text. See also Japanese numerals. Hentaigarana. Hentaigarana, a set of archaic kana obsoleted by the Meiji Reformation, are sometimes used to impart an archaic flavor, such as in items of foods. Additional mechanisms. Hataji refers to instances in which words are written using kanji that reflect the meaning of the word, though the pronunciation of the word is entirely unrelated to the usual pronunciations of the constituent kanji. Conversely, Jukujikun refers to the employment of kanji that appear solely to represent the sound of the compound word but are, conceptually, utterly unrelated to the signification of the word. Such admitted oddities, in combination with the need for the aforementioned furigana, a script component that annotates another script component for the assistance of the non-scholar, led the British linguist and diplomat Sir George Sansom to write, "One hesitates for an epithet to describe a system of writing which is so complex that it needs the aid of another system to explain it." There is no doubt that it provides for some a fascinating field of study, but as a practical instrument it is surely without inferiors. Examples: here is an example of a newspaper headline that uses all four scripts, hiragana, katakana, and Latin alphabet and Arabic numerals. 1m. The same headline, transliterated to the Latin alphabet. Radokuri fu, Marison Goran Dai Hyoni, Ichi man Metoru Shutsujo ni Mofukumi. The same headline, translated to English. Radcliffe was elected to compete in Olympic marathon, 10,000 meters entry also possible. Below are further examples of words written in Japanese, all of which are viable ways of writing the sample words. Statistics: a statistical analysis of a corpus of the Japanese newspaper Asahi Shimbun from the year 1993 revealed, collation in Japanese is based on the kana, which express the pronunciation of the words, rather than the kanji. The kana may be ordered using two common orderings, the prevalent Gorju-on ordering, or the old-fashioned Roa ordering. Kanji dictionaries are usually collated using the radical system, though other systems, such as skip, also exist. Direction of writing. Traditionally, Japanese is written in a format called tatagaki, which is inspired by the traditional Chinese system. In this format, the characters are written in columns going from top to bottom, with columns ordered from right to left. After reaching the bottom of each column, the reader continues at the top of the column to the left of the current one. Modern Japanese also uses another writing format, called yokogaki. This writing format is horizontal and reads from left to right, as in English. A book printed in tatagaki opens with the spine of the book to the right, while a book printed in yokogaki opens with the spine to the left. Spacing and punctuation. Japanese is typically written without spaces between words, and text is normally allowed to wrap from one line to the next without regard for word boundaries. Words in potentially unfamiliar foreign compounds, normally transliterated in katakana, may be separated by a punctuation mark called a nakaguro to aid Japanese readers. For example, this punctuation is also occasionally used to separate native Japanese words, especially in concatenations of kanji characters where there might otherwise be confusion or ambiguity about interpretation, and especially for the full names of people. The Japanese full stop and comma are used for similar purposes to their English equivalents, though comma usage can be more fluid than is the case in English. The question mark is not used in traditional or formal Japanese, but it may be used in informal writing, or in transcriptions of dialogue where it might not otherwise be clear that a statement was intoned as a question. The exclamation mark is restricted to informal writing. Colons and semicolons are available but are not common in ordinary text. Quotation marks are written as, or in some contexts. Several brackets, styles and dashes are available. History of the Japanese script. Importation of kanji. Japan's first encounters with Chinese characters may have come as early as the 1st century AD with the King of Na gold seal, said to have been given by Emperor Guangwu of Han in AD 57 to a Japanese emissary. However, it is unlikely that the Japanese became literate in Chinese writing any earlier than the 4th century AD. Initially, Chinese characters were not used for writing Japanese, as literacy meant fluency in classical Chinese, not the vernacular. Eventually a system called kanban developed, which, along with kanji and something very similar to Chinese grammar, employed diacritics to hint at the Japanese translation. The earliest written history of Japan, the Kojiki, compiled sometime before 712, was written in kanban. Even today, Japanese high schools and some junior high schools teach kanban as part of the curriculum. The development of hiragana. No full-fledged script for written Japanese existed until the development of hiragana, which appropriated kanji for the phonetic value rather than the semantic value. Hiragana was initially used to record poetry, as in the Manyoshu, compiled sometime before 759, whence the writing system derives its name. The modern kana, namely hiragana and katakana, are simplifications and systemizations of hiragana. Due to the large number of words and concepts entering Japan from China which had no native equivalent, many words entered Japanese directly, with a pronunciation similar to the original Chinese. This Chinese-derived reading is known as onyomi, and this vocabulary as a whole is referred to as Sino-Japanese in English and Kango in Japanese. At the same time, native Japanese already had words corresponding to many borrowed kanji. Authors increasingly used kanji to represent these words. This Japanese-derived reading is known as kanyomi. A kanji may have none, one, or several onyomi and kanyomi. Hiragana are written after the initial kanji for verbs and adjectives to give inflection and to help disambiguate a particular kanji's reading. The same character may be read several different ways depending on the word. For example, the character is read as the first syllable of iku's okona as the first three syllables of okona, su, jyo in the compound word jyoretsu, ko in the word ginkgo, and in the word andan. Some linguists have compared the Japanese borrowing of Chinese-derived vocabulary as akin to the influx of Romance vocabulary into English during the Norman conquest of England. Like English, Japanese has many synonyms of differing origin, with words from both Chinese and native Japanese. Sino-Japanese is often considered more formal or literary, just as Latinate words in English often mark a higher register. Script reforms Meiji period. The significant reforms of the 19th century Meiji era did not initially impact the Japanese writing system. However, the language itself was changing due to the increase in literacy resulting from education reforms, the massive influx of words, and the ultimate success of movements such as the influential Genbanichi, which resulted in Japanese being written in the colloquial form of the language instead of the wide range of historical and classical styles used previously. The difficulty of written Japanese was a topic of debate, with several proposals in the late 1800s that the number of kanji in use be limited. In addition, exposure to non-Japanese texts led to unsuccessful proposals that Japanese be written entirely in Kana or Rōmaji. This period's, or Western-style punctuation marks introduced into Japanese writing. In 1900, the Education Ministry introduced 3 reforms aimed at improving the education in Japanese writing: standardization of hiragana, eliminating the range of hentai-gana then in use, restriction of the number of kanji taught in elementary schools to about 1,200, reform of the irregular kana representation of the Sino-Japanese readings of kanji to make them conform with the pronunciation. The first 2 of these were generally accepted, but the third was hotly contested, particularly by conservatives, to the extent that it was withdrawn in 1908. Pre-World War II, the partial failure of the 1900 reforms combined with the rise of nationalism in Japan effectively prevented further significant reform of the writing system. The period before World War II saw numerous proposals to restrict the number of kanji in use, and several newspapers voluntarily restricted the kanji usage and increased usage of hiragana. However, there was no official endorsement of these, and indeed received much opposition. However, one successful reform was the standardization of hiragana, which involved reducing the possibilities of writing down Japanese morai down to only one hiragana character per morai, which led to labeling all the other previously used hiragana as hentai-gana and discarding them in daily use. Post-World War II, the period immediately following World War II saw a rapid and significant reform of the writing system. This was in part due to influence of the occupation authorities, but to a significant extent was due to the removal of conservatives from control of the educational system, which meant that previously stalled revisions could proceed. The major reforms were Hatukanezumi, alignment of kana usage with modern pronunciation, replacing the old historical kana usage, promulgation of various restricted sets of kanji, Toyo kanji, a collection of 1850 characters for use in schools, textbooks, etc., kanji to be used in schools, an additional collection of jinmei kanji, which, supplementing the Toyo kanji, could be used in personal names, simplifications of various complex kanji letter forms shinjitai. At one stage an advisor in the occupation administration proposed a wholesale conversion to Rōmaji, however it was not endorsed by other specialists and did not proceed. In addition, the practice of writing horizontally in a right-to-left direction was generally replaced by left-to-right writing. The right-to-left order was considered a special case of vertical writing, with columns one character high. Rather than horizontal writing per se, it was used for single lines of text on signs, etc. The post-war reforms have mostly survived, although some of the restrictions have been relaxed. The replacement of the Toyo kanji in 1981 with the 1945 Joyo kanji, a modification of the Toyo kanji, was accompanied by a change from restriction to recommendation, and in general the educational authorities have become less active in further script reform. In 2004, the jinmei kanji, maintained by the Ministry of Justice for use in personal names, was significantly enlarged. The Joyo kanji list was extended to 2,136 characters in 2010. Romanization. There are a number of methods of rendering Japanese in Roman letters. The Hepburn method of romanization, designed for English speakers, is a de facto standard widely used inside and outside Japan. The Kanreishiki system has a better correspondence with kana, which makes it easier for native speakers to learn. It is officially sanctioned by the Ministry of Education and often used by non-native speakers who are learning Japanese as a second language. Other systems of romanization include Nippon Shiki, JSL, and Alphabet Rōmaji. Lettering styles Shodo, Idomoji, Mincho, East Asian sans serif typeface. Variant writing systems Gurumoji, Hentai-garana, Manyo-garana.